Is there a West Anglian derby? Is there a West Anglia? I don't see. I'm from like, West Ayrshire, strictly speaking. I don't know if there's such a place though as West Ayrshire, even though I lived there for more than 20 years. I was in like, the west. I was right on the coast. So I'm thinking that's West Ayrshire, but all you ever hear about is East Ayrshire, North Ayrshire, South Ayrshire. Is there no West? The same way West Anglia. Does it actually exist? Is there such a place? Maybe it's non-league teams that are involved in the West Anglian derby. But I think that's the big question. That's the thing that's on all our minds after another Sunday of football on Sky. Oh, I was at that game. That game, no, the one that did the St Mirren. No, they mentioned it. The fella on the bench, the guy that's in the ground staff, the technical staff. Sorry, on the St Mirren, he scored the winner. The last time Rangers played at Love Street, I was at that game. It makes me a bit of jinx. So, sorry, not Dad, get him out. Get him out of our club, or there's boys stopping the buses and all that. I'm not making a contribution with that. I need to get on board with this. All I can think of really is he gets it. The Care Bear. If you don't get rid of Russell Martin, the Care Bear gets it. You know what I mean? Because I don't care. I'm a bear who doesn't care. I'm one of the teddy bears who doesn't care. So the Care Bear has got. Well, I'm not going to kill. I mean, I wouldn't kill him. No, but I might. I could get. Chinese burn, or I could. I've got a paper clip here. Right in the nipple. You'd quite like. Oh, maybe talk to you later on about that, mate. No sense in this. It's just cutting out all kind of enjoyment tonight with me. Leave ourselves open to certain pleasures. That interview post match, an absolute disgrace. When it was totally atrocious. I mean, you wonder how he gets the car. You know, at his front door that comes to pick him up when he doesn't want to have plans or strategies or no style. We don't want a style. It's never a project. Rangers Football Club. Rangers just win. What is he talking about? Rangers just win. What is he? I never heard such garbage in my life. Slagging the fact that anybody would think we need a style, and then at the same time slagging the fact that the last couple of Sundays we've been thrown on all our substitutes, all our attacking substitutes, and taking off defensive substitutes. We did it on Thursday night as well, over in Austria. But at the same time, so that's you admit that's bad to just have all your attackers on the park at one time and hardly any defenders. But you're saying that you don't see the need for style. Just win, just get players that just. I don't actually know how he gets the motor outside his house. When you see, see if you're 79 years old and you're like, I'm just here in the studio. I just appeared, I just manifestly appeared. Suddenly, I'm supposed to be on Sky the day at Falkirk. I'm just here. You know, you don't plan it, you don't structure it, you don't have style, you don't have a project. Rangers, you're not a project at Rangers. I hate projects. I just get here. You don't know. You have to. It's maybe you don't notice it because you're able-bodied, but when you get to about 79 years old and your knees have gone, then getting just for your couch to your front door is going to be a bit of a project. You know, you're going to have to work out how you're going to do it. What's the best way to get up and what's the most comfortable way to get into a car and stuff like that. You know, so just because you've decided that everything's just magically happening, it's absolutely embarrassing interview. You'd be the first person to slag us if we didn't have a strategy and how to get for the lower leagues back to the top flight. Well, a strategy is a plan, is a need in football to find a style. Our knees went as a club in 2012. We can't just win. Jesus, what kind of spoiled way and cake is that? You don't need a style. You just get players good enough to get the win. Then you worry about the style. Okay, so you've just sat there and complimented Davy Weir, who sat beside you. You've complimented him for being a great defender because as Walter came in, we were leaking goals at the back, so Walter Smith comes in and he just signs Davy Weir, and that was it. It was great. So, he signed Davy Weir and Uhu Ehiog Walter when he came back in halfway through the 2006-2007 season when he returned as manager. Why didn't he just play the two of them up front then? Why did he play them as defenders? Did Walter maybe see there was something wrong with their style? Did he maybe plan, a bit of foresight? I just have to sort this out. And why didn't he play the two of them straight? Davy Weir and Uhu Ehiog both scored against Celtic at Parkhead and Old Firm games. So why not just play them as strikers? In fact, why do we even need the term strikers, midfielders, defenders, goalkeepers? It's just all mamby-pamby, nanny state woke nonsense, isn't it? No style, no plans, just win. Just turn up and win. I mean, it's absolute garbage. He was talking, I think it's confusing stuff. I've talked about this before, but I think he's confusing style with stylish. And I get that. Okay, I mean, it's like she's got style. She's stylish. It seems closely related. Seems to be the same thing. You know, I think he's just like, get the players on the park and get the game won. and then you can become stylish, then you can worry about being stylish. I think he actually doesn't understand. If somebody says to him, they're playing in a defensive fashion, what's Alexander McQueen got to do with it? Fashion? What are you talking about? Turn to the left, turn to the right. Ooh, what we are. Remember coming to beep. I think he's actually getting the terms confused and how you use them. But this idea that you don't think about it, you just go out and win, and then that's the Rangers way. That is getting us bloody nowhere, boydie. I know actually, I don't think he was being interviewed. He was being asked questions, but it wasn't an interview. He's the anchor, isn't he? He's the anchor is what she was asking him questions. So it wasn't him that was interviewed. Sorry. That was outgoing coach Russell Martin. He was interviewed post match on Sky by Luke Shanley. 4 domestic away games. We've been winning at half time, and 3 of them, and we've only won 1. Only 4 domestic away games though that Russell Martin will ever be in charge of Rangers, isn't it? Yeah. And it feels like his kind of back and forth with Luke Shanley in the post-match interviews on Sky has been an epic. It's certainly been more engaging than the games themselves that he's been involved in on Sky. Russell Martin, it feels like it's been kind of epic back. I suppose the Old Firm, they'd have the Old Firm game as well, the 0-0 in the Old Firm. That was Ibrox, but that would be on Sky. But I think it feels like an epic duel, him and Luke Shanley, but there's nothing epic about the games that are being played. That interview post-match on Sky today, it won't be lost on the real kind of horrible haters, the real Rangers fans who like to get into horrible stuff when they hate Russell Martin. There's a big silhouette of a carrot right beside him, a crunchy carrot, the sponsors, right behind his head, so they'll have enjoyed that. You folk the vegan as he gets the boot, the big crunchy carrot right there. But in that interview today, Russell Martin he was a lot of different things. He was coquettish. The players had a chat with each other. I gave in my thoughts as well. This is at full time in the changing room. But I think we'll leave that. That will stay in there, the details of that. But he's letting you know that there was a chat, and there was maybe they had it out with each other. He's maybe told them, you've got me sacked. But the details of that, they stayed in there. But Luke Shanley was, where do you think you need to change? Well, I've Conor Barron's performance. I love Conor Barron's performance today. I should maybe, some people deserve to play a bit more than they have. Does he mean because we should have been binning Tav, we should have been binning Nico Raskin, but somehow politics or whatever, have they went running to the directors or something like that? What's that? It's kind of coquettish stuff, little hints of what. It's never down to just one thing. He says, why the team aren't playing well just now, whether these terrible results. It's many small things that add up. What are those small things? We're only fans. We're only fans of this club that makes sure it has the money that it has and whatever. But you can maybe no, you're being coquettish. In that interview today, post match on Sky, Russell Martin he was disrespectful. And that's when I thought, nope, time to go. He was disrespectful about Falkirk's goal. He said it was a deflection. It was a deflection. Did take a deflection, but it's a deflection, and it goes, and that's the only way they were going to score. That was really the only way. I mean, he didn't say it with feeling or gusto. He was trying to be dismissive and just kind of talk through it so quickly almost that you won't notice what he's saying. But that was horrible. It was a horrible thing to say, because Falkirk had been threatening us all game, and more than that, he's a Rangers manager. I know his head coach is but he's a representative of Rangers, and I don't want him being disrespectful like that thing of being churlish about your opposition, saying that they were jammy or whatever. It's just, that's so beneath us. We should never be doing that, especially after John McGlynn was an absolute gentleman about the goal we scored. Did John McGlynn maybe try to play up the goal that we scored as a way of defending his own job to the Falkirk fans? No, but he's saying it was a great cross into the box, which it was, and it was a great goal from a good striker, a really good striker as well. As I'm talking about MIOVSKI, so we go in there and our manager's saying that was their goal was kind of jammy, basically, and that's the only way they were going to score. Now, in that interview, that post-match interview on Sky today, Russell Martin was narky. I keep saying I'll do it until I'm told to. I keep using the phrase I'll do it until I'm told to. I'll keep doing the job until I'm told to, and that's twice you've used it now, says Luke Shanley. He says, but I only keep saying that because you keep asking me about my future. You always ask me about my future, so I'm just trying to hear. In that post-match interview today on Sky, Russell Martin was truthful. He was truthful. This club, he said almost contemptuously, this thing we have, you just have to win. This phrase I keep hearing, you just have to win. And that's kind of Walter, I think he's talking about there. But people are throwing that Walter quote back at me. Walter Smith would be the last person to get in Russell Martin's face about the situation he was in. He says you also have to have a way to win and a way to learn and grow and develop. You can't just win sustainably without a team of men with thousands of appearances under their belt. And I thought that's absolutely spot on, this idea of just win because you're Rangers. It's moronic, it's backwards, and it's going to get us nowhere. So he's absolutely spot on with that. In that interview, that post-match interview today on Sky with Luke Shanley, Russell Martin was also delusional. He was totally delusional. He says, we're getting more and more comfortable and looking like we'd score again when Falkirk equalised. We'd managed one shot. No, we managed no shots on goal, on the Falkirk goal, to that point in time. I think the last time we had a shot on goal in the game when Falkirk equalised was our goal in 40 minutes. 41 minutes, Falkirk scored 73, 74 minutes, over half an hour. It was... it's pretty awful. So that's delusional. And when Luke Shanley was asking them that the fans don't see an improvement in the park, and he's we've improved a lot. We've improved a lot. We're patently going backwards, Russell. It's obvious. I'm up for you taking us backwards in order to go forwards, but it's just there's no way we've improved. We're getting worse. It was delusional. In that post-match interview today on Sky with Luke Shanley, Russell Martin was defiant. No, I've never given up on anything in my life, and that's worked well for me. So it's not even coming into the equation or the thought of just packing in the job, but just walking away. We don't do walking away, says Russell Martin. I'll do it until I'm told not to, and that's helped develop this team of young players that he's got. I think he's really keen on developing the young players there. So he's quite defiant about that. In that interview, that post-match interview today on Sky, Russell Martin was teasing. I don't think there's one reason. There's a lot of reasons. But I have to take responsibility. I have to keep working. What reasons? Why do you have to take responsibility? There's lots of reasons. What are the other reasons for the team being bad? And what are you having to... It's like, it's my job to take responsibility, but I'm not really responsible. Is that what you're trying to say there? It was quite easy. In that post-match reaction today on Sky, Russell Martin was also deflecting. He was employing deflection tactics. It's a difficult pitch. There was difficult conditions. I had a good chat with the guys about why we come out on the wrong side too many times in 50-50s as we did Falkirk's goal. And the guys in the changing room, that'll be the team, they're saying the inability to finish off games has been there for a long time. So it's not just right here and right now, this problem of coming out on the wrong side of the big moments in games as he was describing it. But it's not me saying, it's not just me, it's been going on for ages, so you can't really blame me, even though he reluctantly admit that it was down to him as the manager, but he sounded as if he was kind of saying, I suppose I've got to take responsibility, but it just really isn't my fault. But most of all, in that post-match interview with Luke Shanley, live on Sky today at full time, the dominant feature, the thing that was coming through most of all, was resignation. His air of total resignation. Russell Martin is gone. He won't be the manager of Rangers Football Club, the head coach of Rangers Football Club, for much longer. He won't have another game in charge, I wouldn't imagine. How you doing, folks? This is your fat egg immediate post Russell Martin's career as Rangers head coach reaction pod. This is your fat egg immediate post. Every time I've said it's over, it has been over. Every time I've said it's over, it has been over. These managers don't get sacked until I give the board my say so, and this is me testing just how far the new board wants to test us, the support, by saying he will now, Russell Martin will resign, or he'll be sacked any time between full time at Falkirk today. Maybe he's been sacked or resigned as I'm talking to you right now, any time between full time today, and I think probably kick off in the Scotland Greece game on Thursday night. We've got 8 points from 7 league games. We're 9 points behind Celtic. We're 11 behind Hearts. And we'll now be losing a manager mid-season for the 5th straight season. I think more than anything else, so it's just because Russell Martin is no longer even doing Russell Martin. He's not got the faith in his own system. He's not doing his own thing either. He's given up in the way he puts the team out, and it sounds like he's given up in the way he does the post-match interviews as well. I trust that the support can all be reasonable and see why both the ownership think continuity is the main thing, and why we, the supporters, might be getting a bit too used to kind of hunting such managers as we have done with the last 4, but also they have to be reasonable now, the ownership, and see that Russell Martin is done. Reaction Pod, coming to you in association with Jersnet. Check out Jersnet tonight. It's 9:30, the flagship show, every Sunday night, live on Jersnet, and thereafter on, they'll still be up on the YouTube channel, and of course, all other reliable streaming services. Tonight it's going to be Rob, Alan, and Ross, and they'll all be donning the black hats, I would imagine, and declaring that Russell Martin must be taken to a place and made to sign contractual stuff until such times as we've got a new manager and nobody's listening to anything he's saying, as he explains just everything that went wrong at this point in time. Maybe an NDA or something like that. So check out Jersnet. I'm sponsored by Jersnet. I'm also sponsored by clips for temporarily locking the lid on your wheelie bins. Just the Storm Amy thing, right? I mean, my bins go out on a Saturday night. Storm Amy hit bad here, Glasgow, on Friday night into Saturday morning. That was scary enough. And the first thing, of course, it starts going is the bins. You go to 5 bins? You've got now, and so I get them. It's like the Romans, the Roman army, when they do the tortoise thing, or the turtle, whatever they call it, they all pack together. So I get out the front and I ram them all together. I get them in a wee tight, so they're holding each other up. There's a wee fence just to the side, so if they go, the wind's coming this way, so I make sure the bins have all got something to support them going that way, and they're not going to fall over. But it's the grey bin. It was the grey bin went out last night. Sorry, and apologies, David, that few guys have been saying to me, Alec, didn't remind me to put the bin out. What is the point of your podcast if you don't remind us when to put the bins out? Sorry, boys, that's out of order. I'll get back on it. It's the Fitbits Rangers. Apparently the manager's been struggling. It was just putting me off. Sorry, I'll get back on it though. I'll get that sorted. We'll try harder. But it was a grey bin. Like the grey bin is the one that's totally rammed. It's the one with all the crisp packets. It's just absolutely every time that the guys come to get it. There's a couple of times when we first got that bin, I thought that's not going to be enough. It's not going to be enough, just picking it up once every 4 weeks. It was during the Euros last summer, and I was cutting stuff. I was like getting the milk cartons, and I was cutting up milk cartons in the wee telly we've got in the kitchen. I was watching like the Netherlands against Austria or something like that, and my wife's going, "You fucking do this? I don't think it's going to be enough room." I was reducing the size of everything to get it into the bit. It's totally rammed, but I don't have to cut stuff up. But because if the wind comes along that street and it blows the lid off it, if it goes, even just blow the lid off it, there's half a ton of stuff goes flying out, yogurt cartons and Mars bar wrappers and things like that all over the street. It's embarrassing. It's a lot of work trying to pick it all up. So I've got a wee it's a bit of kind of render type thing. It's like a brick, but it's obviously something, a slab that was a kind of fancy garden slab that is kind of aggregate stuff on the tapet. It's all knobbly and patterned and all that, but it's something they must have dropped it. So it's before we bought this house, and it just was out the back. These bits of this weighing stuff doing. I thought I'll just take that and I'll put it on the top of that bin. So but I can't leave that in the tapet for the bin men to come and pick up. So the guys that work for the council to come and pick that up. It's not their job to take a brick off a tapet of a bin lid, to keep it. Plus, the only way I can stop it, because you've got to move it up, you've got to take it out the tortoise formation, the one single bin. It makes it more liable to wobble, and it's got to go into the pavement. But there's nothing. There's a wee dip in the pavement as well, down onto the road, so it's kind of wobbly. It's off its balance. Somebody might be coming up the road, pished and bang into it. Saturday night, 'cause it's 7 o'clock in the morning, they turn up on a Sunday morning. I'm not getting out of my bed at that time. I've got to take it out Saturday night and leave it out. Everybody else does. But they all get big hedges and stuff like that that can protect it for the wind when it's out in the street. So I've got to leave it just inside the wee kind of path drive thing that we've got before the street, just because we've got this kind of plant, but I'm not very good with plants, it's kind of bush type flowery thing that just gives it enough cover for the wind coming up that way, but it also means it's just in the drive, and the guys are turning up at 7 o'clock in the morning going, "Oh, don't worry, your lordship, we'll come into your house and get your bin. Sorry, it's supposed to be out in the street," to make it easier for them. So just some sort of clip thing or something like that, because with the Rangers being so bad just now, the trauma, I get so many Celtic fans coming on to watch the pod. I'm coining it in. I know that's what you're supposed to say. Thanks very much for watching my pod. I don't care. I'm actually coining it in. You actually give me money. You actually give money to a Rangers fan. I'm going to send it to the UDA or the UVF or something like that. Aye, that's I feel smart now. No, but I'm just spending it on cocaine and going on holiday and stuff like that. But I will back if somebody can develop a wee start-up company. I will back that one to get some wee clip you can put on it, but to keep the bin lid shut. But at the same time, it doesn't stop it doesn't inconvenience them. My name's Alec Anderson. Well, my mama didn't allow me just to stay out all night long. Well, my mama didn't allow me just to stay out all night long. I didn't care what she didn't allow. I would boogie woogie anyhow. Yeah. When I first came to town, people, I was walking down Hastings Street. I had everybody talking about Henry Swing Club. Henry Swing Club. I used to think it was the Henry Sweating Club or the Henry Swank Club. Only saw the lyrics wrote down quite a few years, quite recently, and it's actually the Henry Swing Club. It's quite. I decided to drop in there that night. When I got there, I say, "Yeah, people, they was really having a ball. Yes, I know. Boogie chillin'. One night I was laying down. I heard Mama and Papa talking. I heard Papa tell Mama, let that boy boogie woogie. It's in him, and it's got to come out. Well, it felt so good. I went on boogieing just the same, yeah. I just remember my dad actually used to listen to that. He used to listen to that. He was kind of had a few drinks or whatever on a Saturday night, and we'd be up in our bed, and I'd hear the boogie chilling going on, and that when it got to that bit, it's just spot on. Because my mum was kind of, oh, you should be doing this, and you should be doing that, but my dad was like, just let the boy boogie woogie. In fact, no direct translation, but it's in him and it's got to come out. So I love that song. It's things we're happy. Everybody's happy. Yeah. My name's Alec Anderson, and I'm here to talk to you folks. After I just saw that game and that interview, we've seen it quite a few times over the last few years. Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, St Mirren at Paisley, it's not working, does the interview, he looks gone. Michael Beale, Aberdeen at home. I didn't even see it. It wasn't live on the telly, that game. But I later saw the post-match interviews, and he's ashen. And we saw the game itself, and it's gone. The whole thing's gone. He's gone as well, in his head and his heart. Philip Clement, St Mirren at home. I saw that interview, that post-match interview later on. Again, it wasn't live on the telly, but I saw that game. He's gone. That's it. It's over. And in the interview, you can see that he knew. He didn't even want to do the post-match interview. He's just saying, we'll find out how it goes. He's not actually been sacked, so he's got to say. He's got to just go through the. It's a horror show watching the fellas having to do that. Yeah, well, we'll just need to try harder. You think your job? Well, we'll find out if I'm going to survive. Russell Martin, Falkirk away, 1 each on the 5th of October, 2025. The team are going backwards consistently enough for us to know now. And Russell Martin's post-match interview, he knows as well. That is it. Done, troops. I'm afraid. A lot of you aren't afraid, but I'm afraid for Russell Martin. It's never a nice moment. The sacking whisperer that I am, I can confirm that is it. Maybe next few hours or so. I don't know when it's going to happen, but it's definitely Russell Martin is no longer going to be the Rangers manager. Was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday. I went out after Storm Amy. Nothing seemed to have been blown down in the house now on Saturday morning, and it was the first time I felt that, oof, it's winter. I could actually have done me a bonnet. I knew I was past Chicago Bears baseball cap time, but I didn't realise I was into Harland and Wolff bonnet time. That was the first time I felt the kind of the cold wind a blowing. You can see what I'm doing here. It's poetic. This podcast is just so poetic. I was also thinking that Storm Amy, there's a wee gust surviving here on a Saturday morning, but it's fresh and it feels nice, and the sun's it seems relatively calm. Has the storm blown itself out? Is the worst behind us? No, it isn't. It really isn't. Maybe that is it. The worst. Sorry, folks. I don't really know what to say. That'll be right. I don't know what I'm allowed to say. That's the problem. What's going to be a bit insulting or whatever. I was sitting last night and I was just flicking through Twitter to see, what all the sober people think about life in general, and I saw Rangers had retweeted that Mason Munn has been, our player, has been capped by Northern Ireland under-21s. He's been selected by Tommy Wright for the Northern Ireland under-21s. Mason Munn, our player, that's what he did. He just retweets it. And the replies to that, I don't know why I do it to myself. I don't know why I do, but it was just pictures of Martin. He's got to go. The C word was in there. Everyone just sack that C before you. then they started this thing. What was it? I take it we've done the same thing for Nico Raskin. Nico Raskin's been picked by Belgium. Why we got a tweet for it? Mason Munn's a young fella. A young fella that he's just been capped, under 21 level for his country. It's a magic moment for young fella. I don't know if he played for him before, but for all I know, I don't really pay that much attention to it. I just happened to come across that tweet. But it was just utter abuse. Basically, don't speak, don't say anything, don't do anything unless it's telling us you've sacked Russell Martin. It's getting beyond the joke. And this is what happens on Twitter. I said, yeah, I think 9 times out of 10 you go into the real world and you find out everybody's still pretty decent. It's just Twitter is doing this kind of stuff to people. And these kind of people have always been around in the world. They take things too far because they're kind of depressed, there's stuff going on in their life. And they want to reduce everything to kind of one. I desire to reduce the kind of even the aspirations or the aims of kind of a multi-million pounds 150-year-old Scottish and European institution of a football club to one kind of glib insulting of a head coach. Why is everybody racing towards this? And it feels that these are the people now being catered for. These are the people that other websites, podcasts, showing my age there, and media and whatever, are kind of going for these people. They're pandering to them, and it's not the way to think about things like this. It is a complex situation, as the man himself said, and the idea that I don't mean, right, let's go after Patrick Stewart now, let's go after Thelwell, let's go. The football is going backwards, and that's something that is, the head coach's job is the one that we always get most access to assessing. That's the one that's out in front of us all the time. You see every time the team plays how he's getting on. But it's not all about that, and it's just, I don't know, maybe I get a bit kind of slack now. Maybe I'll get a bit of slack now for being too cool about the takeover. Remember that back in June? It's officially a takeover. We don't know who these people are. Let's just kind of keep the calm here. It looks like a good thing, though. It's probably what we're after, but we don't really know. Yeah, get out in the street. Make Rangers great again. Yeah, Donald Trump. Woohoo, stars and stripes. What's the problem? What's the problem? Get on board. Because within 2 seconds, we're going to be slagging them rotten again. So, if you want to get on board, if you want me to get on board being enthusiastic, can you maybe just take note of the fact that you will hate them for something within a month or within a year. I think it was 2 months, really. August. That was far enough as far as you were concerned. Most of us were concerned when it came to Russell Martin. So there's such a desire to reduce it to. I've touched on this before. People tell me really nicely, and I love to see the people get in touch, even folk who disagree with me on this podcast. It's great because 99 people out of 100 are just doing it articulately or funnily, and just there's no harm in it, there's no kind of enmity. It's just, I see it different, I like blah blah blah. And consequently I got a lot of guys, and it is mostly guys telling me they admire the fact that I've got faith in Russell Martin. They admire my loyalty to him and my kind of positivity. In fact, that is really nice. I think it's really polite. I think most of these are just you don't want to say, Alec, fuck's sake, are you watching us these days? It's good. But it's more about what my attitude toward Russell Martin has been. It's more about what I think is needed to make Rangers kind of a trophy hoovering, winning machine again. I want us to destroy everything in Scotland. I want scorched earth. I want us just to go. I basically want us to do what Celtic have done, for the past 15 years, and it's not going to happen. And football, you can never rely on football to give you your revenge. But I think there's a slight level of misunderstanding has come in now about possession style football and what that means, and people misunderstand the fact that I'm sticking up for Russell Martin, or I did the same with Philip Clement and I think Michael Beale. But I'm not waiting for the moment it gets to the point where when the board are going to sack the manager, I'm just like, yeah, that is the time to sack him. We need to suck it and see. We are still coming back from 2012, and people don't want to talk about that. It's more a case of I want to test every option to the point where we can be sure that it's not working. And it is only today. For me, it is only today that we're absolutely sure that Russell Martin isn't working, because the job he was given was going to entail getting in there and just mining this thing, getting down to the foundations and taking us backwards in order to go forwards. Go forwards in a sustainable way, as the man himself is saying. But I think there comes a confusion, like that doesn't sound competitive. Being patient and I'm doing podcasts everything that happens at Rangers, used to do blogs about it, written books about it. Believe it or not, it's that was quite good. Alec, at the very point you're trying to say, I've written books about Rangers. You prove that you can't speak, so people know that you're lying. You haven't written anything about Rangers. You're an idiot. But I've written books about Rangers and magazine articles and blogs, and I'm obsessed. I'm utterly obsessed. So the idea that I'm thinking we should stick up for Russell Martin because he seems like a nice guy, and that it's because I think we need to know what's not going to work as much as we need to know what's going to work, because everything else we've tried hasn't worked. I want to fucking get there. I want to get there probably more than a lot of folk out there who are giving it, you don't care about the club, if you think that fucking vegan bastard doesn't count. I'm characterising people. I'm maybe cruelly characterising people, maybe punching down in some way, but it's I just think we need to test that someone definitely isn't working before. It's a massive thing, sacking the manager of Rangers. It should always be something that's done with care, done with due attention, and it's more about what I think is needed to make Rangers absolutely unbeatable again, consistently hoovering up titles. There's a level of misunderstandings coming about the possession style of football. Russell Martin may not be doing it right, but it's 100% absolutely undeniably not just what we need, but as a support, what we demanded last season, the season before that. Just suddenly when Russell Martin arrived and promised he was going to do it, he's a bit vegan though. You know what I mean? It's... I basically couldn't give a shit about the style of football that we play. But we need to have a style. That's not some. This is me finding a way. I've been finding a way this season to kind of see what the more active or reactionary of our fans, or more loud, aggressive of our fans. I'm trying to see what their point of view is, and it's an acknowledgement that I get their point. I've worked my way around to getting the point that, the way we've been playing football under, Philip Clement, for example, just wasn't working. We've not been winning the league title with Philip Clement's style. Russell Martin's philosophy is totally practical. Have the ball, so that opponents don't have it. All Rangers fans, the loudest Rangers fans who wanted change and wanted to get rid of everybody, the board, the manager, everything last season and the season before, when we were talking about it in relation to Rangers' style of play, it was, we're playing the counter-attack. We can't play against the low block. We're only good teams in the counter-attack. And it was true. We were done every time we come up against a team who didn't want to play at football. So therefore, surely bringing a guy who is known, his MO as attacking football, possession football, all his training, all his methods is geared towards us doing the best with the ball in our possession. So there's no... And I looked into Russell. I didn't want Russell Martin in the job either. But the minute he joins Rangers, you got to look into it. You got to try and get on board. And I saw the interview with Steven Gerrard and just reading between the lines, or what he was telling us. It's an interview with Steven Gerrard, that Freudian slip. Stevie G, what you doing these days? Interview with Gary Lineker on the Rest Is Football podcast. It was just after he'd been sacked by Southampton. Russell Martin was explaining how when he played against Swansea City, and it was Leon Britton, a kind of Scouse midfielder, absolute legend at Swansea City, who he played against all the time because he's playing for Wycombe Wanderers and he's playing for Norwich City. The two of them, they played kind of lower league and maybe floating into the Premier League every now and then. And he says, in one, I used to kind of have a go at Leon Britton. I could, when I was playing at fullback especially, I could get in there, get in his face, maybe tackling. I'd be trying to tackle him and stuff. Then Roberto Martinez comes in as manager at Swansea. Who Leon Britton said he used to room with Leon Britton, this midfielder, Swansea legendary midfielder. And Leon Britton thought it was remarkable that Roberto Martinez would read. He would read in his bed. He would read a book. So he was like super intelligent. And the way Roberto Martinez deployed Leon Britton, I couldn't get near him. He was always just taking the ball. He always had the ball, but he was always so far away from me that I couldn't get anywhere near him. I know, that's because Russell Martin was a shit defender, whatever. No, it wasn't. He just realised then that this was the way to play football. And you see what Roberto Martinez is going on to, manager of Belgium, manager of Portugal, just won the Nations League with him and that kind of stuff. It's the top end of the game. It's the way things are going. It's the way to play football. And if we want to be a possession based, football team. We want to know how to use the ball because we're going to have it more than anybody, more than the opposition in 90% of the games we play in Scotland. That's the way to do it. Get in a manager who knows about that, who appreciates that. And so Russell Martin found out all about that style, and he learnt about it, and he did his coaching, and that's the style he likes to play. But suddenly everything about having possession, having the ball, basically having the ball, it's a really basic thing. But suddenly that became too fancy, kind of airy-fairy, and a bit woke, woke pish, having the ball in it. This is why Russell Martin's his comments on Friday about the state of the UK today, they're so kind of spot on and absolutely pertinent. I think we've been ghettoised in our thinking as a support. I'm going to come on and I'm going to talk about the game today, folks. I'm going to get back onto the immediate problems in the match today, but I feel this needs saying. I think we've been ghettoised in our thinking as a support, and we're not the only ones. The media is working on so many fan bases in the country, and they want everybody up in arms because it's more entertaining, it's more interesting, it sells papers or it gets views or whatever it is. But a lack of attacking possession football is what cost us the title over the past few seasons, and now we don't trust anyone who wants to bring it back. Not just like the Tories brought in us. So if you like the Tories and you're into the reform stuff and all that, just see this as a metaphor, as the Tories brought in austerity, which made our lives harder, and then that leads to people immediately becoming more right-wing and hateful of other people, and almost forgetting that it's about their food bills and power bills and things like that. Just become focused on stuff that you're being fed in the news by the very people who've made you skint. They brought in austerity and then brought in Brexit to make it even more austere, and the people that are making our lives harder, are now preying on the fact that we're now all so hardened they can cash in on the fact we don't trust anyone preaching humanity and compassion. And I think we've got to that stage where we're so unused to having a team that are really good in possession of the ball. We don't know how to. We don't want it. You want us to keep the ball. You want passing it about at the back. That shit. Well, if we're passing it about at the back, means the opposition don't have it. In theory, we'll eventually be passing it about in their box if you give it time. But Russell Martin stopped giving it time as well, so he's got to go. But the Fitbit is our kind of man baby outlet, I think. But keep it a kind of healthy, childish. The Fitbit, it's a day out, and it's a declaration of tribal loyalty, and that loyalty cannot be loyalty if it's results dependent, really. And what's the fifth series of Fargo, if you don't know what I'm talking about? And more at the point, what's the fucking very last scene of the very last episode? It's right up there with the kind of the last scene of No Country for Old Men. I don't know if it's just one scene, but it's when she comes back to her house, when the main character comes back to her house, and what's his name? Ulla Munk is sitting there, he's 500 years old. It's Fargo, you know what I mean? But watch it, it's absolutely on the money. The sin eater, he's a sin eater who's eaten so many sins of the rich that he needs to be retrained in how to feel love. You mean like a World Economic Forum re-education camp? I mean like your mum telling you to calm down, shut up, giving you a wee quick cuddle, letting you have a wee bubble or something like that, and then that's you're ready to go again. You just feel strong again, you go to your system, you can move on, you feel physically better and everything, and you can grow up into a well-developed person. Everyone's fit. There's such a confluence of what Rangers need, practically and spiritually, in Russell Martin, that I did want him to succeed because I like him as a bloke, but if he doesn't have it, he's got to go. And I think it's just as vital for the soul of the club that we as a support stop kind of hounding him and keep our complaints on point and don't forget ourselves, because I think we're trying to forget that 2012 is in us. It happened, and we need to process it to get past it, because it's patently the problem. We're so close. Russell Martin was the kind of theory stage almost. It's like the Hegelian dialectic. The thesis is the Rangers are Scotland's most powerful club. The antithesis is 2012, bankruptcy. We're in the 4th division. And the synthesis is we've learned that we have to keep the back door closed. Financially, and we need to have a strong youth system and team players that we can afford to keep bringing through that are going to keep us at a certain at a certain level. We've done it in fiscal terms with the new ownership. We're finally got ourselves financially secure. That back door is shut. We just need to build a squad with a solid base and cover the kind of the playing style, the winning style. Going to make sure we're going to win league titles, enough league titles, and enough Scottish Cups and League Cups, and maybe Europe will have to take a back seat for a while. But we'll get the basics right. And Russell Martin, I think, was the start of the last bit. And even just bringing Russell Martin in that theory, that statement of intent by bringing in Russell Martin in that style of football, I think it's not worked out for him personally. He's not been able to implant it, but it's the start of the synthesis. It's the start of the proper. We're just in the last lap. We're just in the final lap. Maybe it's a relay race. Maybe we've got to hand that baton over to another head coach, but it definitely won't be Russell Martin that's doing it anymore. But don't forget ourselves. Last night I explained why Russell Martin looked like he was going a bit mad. He might not actually understand the job, but I also explained why I think how we sack him and the accusation that we throw at him as fans. We also have to understand our club and our history when we're doing that, what we're maybe going against when we're so reactionary, so knee-jerk all the time. We're not being staunch, really. It's quite kind of man-baby stuff. And the whole Fargo, the whole series turns by the end, you realise what it's all about, and it's all strong women, and it's all how the different ways that blokes can be toxic and how blokes can be nice, and how we've just, a man has a code, and it's just take him out the code, take him out the... it's about compassion, it's about love, it's about, and that's the most winning thing there is, and the compassionate, loving people are the ones that are strongest and most powerful and winning. It's not just failure to wear a suit that goes against our traditions. It's believing some of the redacted kind of revisionist bullshit that's floating about out there under the guise of research, but it's actually just hysterically bogus, vindictive bullshit designed to personally pillory someone. Don't trust anybody. Don't trust anybody eager to reduce everything about Rangers and their situation just now to a kind of killer one-liner. Podding is full of posers, people whose ability to sum it all up in a single aphoristic phrase, in a middle-class authoritative tone of voice. These people get all the views, all the likes, but they get trusted, they get believed, and they push the agenda of the fan base, and it does us a lot of damage all the time. I'll always sing a song at the beginning of my pods or in my pods because well, Taylor Swift, that cow, she stole my career. I should have been the Taylor. She just stole my songs and stole my limelight, but the music will never die within me. The main thing for me is the music, but I also sing a wee song just so you know that I'm not expecting to be taken too seriously. I know that I'm talking pish, but there's folk out there who don't think they're talking pish, who don't have a clue, or even more clueless than me, but think they fucking know. And they sound convincing as well. Those are the salesmen who don't even realise it's snake oil that they're selling. We've got to remember ourselves and how we do these things. And I think giving Russell Martin a chance isn't just... And I can hear the retorts to this from a certain type of fan. We're not a charity, Alec. It's not about that either. It's about giving it a chance. So we know it's definitely no... The cure, the final cure that we need to our ills. We've won 3 trophies since 2012. I mean, come on. There's obviously something wrong, and it is 2012 that's wrong. But people don't want to face up to it. They want to, and I think that's why we're getting extra hysterical in sacking our managers all the time, and the campaigns that we're mounting against. It's a campaign against reality, as far as I'm concerned. The same as stuff that's going on in London and all that over weekends, and Trafalgar Square, and a lot of that. It's I think the whole of the UK has become such a kind of single issue in its understanding of politics, and that of course means it's no political if it's only a single issue thing, and that suits the kind of scumbags that run in banks and power companies and tech companies and running Russian spies and things like that. But it makes the Rangers, to make Rangers about one issue, suits no one but Celtic and maybe even Hearts. It is complex. I mean, intellectualism is no way to run a country or a football club, but demonising all intellect and intelligence because you confuse, frankly, homoerotic levels of machismo posturing with making the tough choices, it's just childish. It's self-defeating pish. Evolve. We've got to evolve, for fuck's sake. That's what this club has always done. All-seater stadium. I just heard this much garbage yesterday, sorry, about Russell Martin's gone against your traditions, fucking by nowhere in a suit, and that sums up somehow wise, but I mean, fucking hell. We just got to evolve. That's what this club has always done. All-seater stadiums. Maybe it was the worst possible reason for us to make our stadium all-seater. And Aberdeen and Clydebank technically made their stadiums all-seater as well by putting down a lot of benches and type of terracing. But we come in with the proper stadium straight away because it needed done. There's no adverts. There's no adverts around the tracks at Ibrox until I think it was the 70s. I think we were the last club in Scotland to get trackside advertising. Well, the last one to abandon our sectarian signing policy. And we're the last club to, it feels as if we were one of the last clubs, us along with Celtic, to get shirt advertising, shirt sponsor, C.R. Smith. The two of us had to get sponsored by C.R. Smith because you couldn't have one company just being a sponsor of Rangers and one just being sponsored of Celtic. They would just wouldn't get the sales, obviously, but we didn't have a player manager until Graham Souness. That was something we still don't really do. No Catholics, as I say, no Catholic captains, no Catholic managers. That all ended as well. It's all come from kind of evolution. You've got to make evolution slow enough that you do it right. But always, you don't just take on board any kind of fancy new theory or whatever until it's been thoroughly road tested. I'm very aware of the F. Scott Fitzgerald things I say of. You want to be open-minded, but not so open-minded that your brain falls out. But you've got to be always realising why it's right to do it. I mean, when the time is to evolve, and I think we needed Russell Martin to come in because having a new manager bounce, having a guy coming in who can get the dressing room gone and everybody's like, I better perform for him, and we get a wee run of 10, 15 games where you maybe only drop a couple of points, and then bang, we're back to square one. I was quite happy to see Russell Martin come in and take it to square one straight away. So we faced up to that straight away in the hope that would then mean we could push on. I'm making hand gestures here if you can. Push on, and I'm pushing stuff on, and eventually get back to winning league bloody titles. We realised over the last kind of 10 years that we need to prioritise beating the low block. Let's own that and admit that Russell Martin was a good candidate in that sense. But he's won nothing. Well, neither is Stephen Gerrard, Graham Souness, or Alec McLeish or Walter Smith before they took the job. Alec McLeish got Hibs promoted, fair dues. He'd won the second tier, but all he's ever done is managed in the English Football League and the English Premier League, even though he was terrible at it. Russell Martin, but that's more than Souness, Walter, and Stevie G had managed before they took over at Rangers. Vincent Kompany, I know I joke, but it does prove that. The way ahead, Vincent Kompany was manager. He went to Anderlecht, I think, as manager, and then he ends up with the Burnley job, and he gets them promoted in great style, just like Russell Martin did with Southampton. I think it was the following season Russell Martin came up after the season after Burnley, and Burnley goes straight back down, and Vincent Kompany's getting slagged for not changing his playing style and for trying to bring on too many young, inexperienced players. Bayern Munich look at him and go, aye, that's what we want. And Bayern Munich retain they regain the Bundesliga title in Vincent Kompany's first season, because there's a whole infrastructure there that Bayern have got done to perfection. They've got this infrastructure better than most teams in the world, Bayern, and earlier too. We still try to catch up with that, but you can be guaranteed that Patrick Stewart and Thelwell and Marat and Kavanagh know that's the way to go, and I think that's. We're actually being kind of go ahead, I think, by getting Russell Martin in, who'll understand it as well. It is the way to go. Don't want it's not about what you've won at previous clubs or whatever. It's taking the style that is needed, that suits the players at a particular club. We always want Rangers to show the way, how to dress, how to rebuild a stadium, how to have a third tier on your stand, how to play in the Champions League group stages. We're the first British team to play in the Champions League group stages, but don't be kind of backwards because you think that's hard or whatever. Otherwise, what's the fucking point of anything? Just there's too many people being kind of retrograde for the. I don't know, because they feel as if it's a tough and that because they're angry about other stuff, and I do it myself, but it's just. Was I punching down last night when I was talking about the boys in the hotel lobby in Austria? Probably no, because the two of them could punch me down and without even thinking about it. But I think it was more a case of I just didn't. It was big. I think it was being put forward. I wasn't hearing anybody else in any other podcast saying there was anything wrong with that, you know, and just expressing your opinions to people whose wages you in some way you pay. Maybe it's not, but I feel that it was being put forward as a kind of accurate reflection of the entire support's mood and our MO. There's a couple of guys that were bevy just happened to be in the same hotel. You know, it's no the way to go. I just wanted to say that. But next time I'm on, just to prove not everything I say has a kind of a double meaning. I'm not going to get into that just now. I'm not getting into that just now. Look, see, to me, Falkirk was, when I was a kid, it was like a third Edinburgh. Falkirk was always like the third Edinburgh side to me. I know that sounds insane. But it just means when I was a kid, I'm coming from like Ayrshire, West Ayrshire, as I've told you before. I can see Arran out the window. So anything east of Sucky Hall Street, in east of the Marks and Spencers, you know, kind of near Candle Rigs, Merchant City was Edinburgh as far as I was concerned when I was younger. But always this weird feeling. I think the Falkirk, I think it's the accent. You know, when you come from Ayrshire, the Falkirk accent might as well be, you know, a Gorgie accent, and plus they always had that kind of just staunch, hard thing. Even Hibs fans have got, as far as I'm concerned. It just seemed like a third Edinburgh, a third like big Edinburgh club. I don't know why I'm not saying, but we'd half the away end today in a stadium that's 3/4 built. Every time, even on telly, I glance at the east side of the new Falkirk Stadium. I think, is that, are they doing the work there? Are they building a new stand? And it's the thing, because somebody tell me, the thing about the Grangemouth, the plant at Grangemouth is within the blast zone, the area where they build the east. Is that just an urban myth? So they don't build a stand there? I know they had to get a guy the guy that owns Shoe to come in and pay for one of the stands there, but I just wish they would finish the stadium. Every time I see it, it's because they've got a kind of, it's like one of the walls they've got. It's a temporary wall thing. It's what do you call that? It's like a barricade type thing. I can't remember what it's called, but it's like you get it in front of a building site, and I think, oh, they're building a new stand there. Sometimes the angle I saw at today, when Rangers were going down the tunnel and all the fancy pitch side cameras were showing us for different angles, and I caught a view of it. I thought, oh, is that like 2 or 3 steps of terracing? Are they building a stand there? It's like, what's to stop them? Just throwing in like a 10,000 safe standing east covered enclosure, and it would be brilliant to have that back. Just a proper. I want great things for Falkirk. I don't know why. I just want a chance to do a stadium properly, but it wasn't. It wasn't that at all. It was just that kind of wall thing, the temporary wall, to tell you there's nothing behind it except wasteland. So that was a wee omen. It's after 4 straight home games, our 3rd straight away game. So as we're in a 3rd different combination of a change kit, if you like, all blue at Livingston and then the all white in Graz, and then today it was the Nacional Montevideo kind of combo, which I really love. The white with the white top with the blue shorts, and the white socks with the blue fold. The blue fold takes the edge off the all white socks, and it looked fantastic. A really lovely kit. That was it. The changes to the starting 11. I mean, is there any point in talking about it? There is point. Let's just get through the old routine. I mean, Asgard and Ant-Man. They were dropped from the other night, as was Magoma. Moore and Rothwell come in for Asgard and Ant-Man, and I'd been worrying about what would happen with Magoma and the knock-on effect that would have in the defence. So the Magoma kind of doom-mongers, he's too young, blah, blah, blah. They were proven correct today. He was on the bench, a young man. I think he had a bit of a mistake the other night at that second goal we lost. But it meant that Deja come back in. That's Deja come back in, which meant James Tavernier could start at right back. I was wondering last night in the preview pod if they might put Tavernier centre half. So it means John Shooter's got to move across to the other side of central defence, but Derek Cornelius is staying at left back. I think we're playing a kind of 4-3-3 in midfield with Connor Barron is still in there. Dio started in the bench as well, but I think Connor Barron was in there with Raskin and Rothwell. I'm not really sure how it was deployed because the game was so bad it was hard to tell. I'm assuming that we're all allowed to kind of push up whenever they wanted, but I think it was more of a 4-3-3. And Big Phil, who gets in touch every now and then, and thanks to him, like everybody else, for spending time on this sad wee pod of mine. But I thought it'd be MIOVSKI. So I wanted Chermiti to play up front today, in the preview pod I was saying this, that I thought that the big fella looked like he was just on the cusp of starting. If he gets a goal, he's going to get 5 or 6 goals. But Big Phil was saying he's read something, I've seen something somewhere that he might have a bit of a problem with plastic pitches. Trimity's one of these players. I think Ryan Jack was the same. They're not at their best on plastic pitches, and it's a wee kind of problem they've got with their ligaments or something like that. I can't remember exactly what Big Phil said, but he was predicting it would be MIOVSKI would be playing instead of Trimity, and he did. He got the preference. He got the start there. Bojan MIOVSKI, but it was. I don't know if it's just like plastic, maybe the way, like a kind of cash only kind of prepper type thing. Big Chinmeaty. But we wanted a fast start. I'm slowing down here because it's just all beginning up. There's so many podcasts that are dealing with these pivotal moments in our history. It feels like there's just so much heavy shit going on, so much bad news all the time. It's so much please, folk, don't go and set fire to the stadium. Nobody's listening to me, but you want to discuss it, you want to, because you care, but Christ, it is almost like a relief, even though it's a horrible thing. It's like somebody who's been ill for ages and you love them and they die and you get that horrible thing of feeling a bit relieved because you don't have the worry every day. It's just like they're dead. I could just be straightforwardly depressed now. I'm grinding to a halt, folks. Sorry. So we wanted a fast start, he says, and Rangers provided a bit as fast a start as I'm providing a fast commentary in this podcast. God, Nico Raskin went in his arse after about 2 minutes. He's in acres of space as well to give away a corner, and then Raskin was just like, there's nobody anywhere near me. I'm deep in my own half of the park. I'll just fall over the ball and put it out for a corner. And you're like, Christ, this is going to be good. And I think maybe they don't have that stand built in that east side, so it's letting the gusts build up and knock over poor wee Nico. Absolutely brutal. I mean, Philip Clement, would you take Clement back? I don't know. We're going to have to get somebody in. I'd maybe take Clement back. That's the thing. Like Atletico Madrid and Real Madrid, all the fancy continental teams like Milan and Inter, they'd have these managers that would bring back 2 or 3 times, sack them, bring them back again. No hard feelings. I don't know, maybe. Anyway, 3rd minute, we're on the break. Go to Rangers. Rangers have scored after 3 minutes. Mikey Moore just inside the Falkirk half, fractionally offside. Took a while for the VAR to check it, but Moore he drove in. He's uncatchable, as was his shot, and Gassama scored from the rebound. But it was ruled out for Mikey Moore being just offside. Actually, at the point, he could have stayed in his own half. Well, he couldn't have, but we had the ball in the net early, but it was not a fast start. After that, we were terrible. For the first 10 minutes, Falkirk, they were kind of mastering the conditions, wind and plastic that they're more used to, but don't have the plastic pitches. We've got plastic pitches at Auchenhowie, that have got even less cover than Falkirk's pitch. 0 stands round about them, so I don't really know. It's not really an excuse. We conceded 3 corners in the first 11 minutes. Derek McInnes, is Derek McInnes staying in? Remember we were trying to get him, that was about 10 years ago, mind you. He'll be ancient history now. Get him as well. 30 minutes, Cornelius had a wee kind of dinky ball over the top. Nice wee ball over the top for Gassman to go on to at least taking a Tav, putting a long range shot just over the left hand side, top corner of the post. A minute later, Raskin's filled at the edge of the D, Tav free kick just over the same side to the pot. And that's really when I started thinking, yeah, I love Tav. No. But I think he was supposed to be getting phased out this season. And there he is. And I think it was Ian Crocker that said, that's James Tavernier popping up at inside left. He's everywhere, isn't he? 4 goals. He's got 4 goals to score, Tav. He's equalled Chris Boyd's record as our top scorer on the 21st century. And he's there. He's taking the free kicks. He's taking the shies. He's taking anything at all. And that's him popping up at inside left. He's allowed to go wherever he wants. And he's 43 years old now. Nico Raskin seems to go wherever he wants. I remember the big fallout. He was being asked to be too rigid in his positioning. It's like the manager, Russell Martin, has just given up and tried to have the players in the positions, making the ball do the work. And I get the impression with the things he keeps saying about this problem's been here for a while. We had a wee chat about that. The problem is more James Tavernier than I ever wanted to admit. The players who are still there, I don't know. Was that us getting a foothold in the game? No, it wasn't. 16 minutes, Jack Burton has to save it point blank. Low as Falkirk opened their kind of left flank. He just drifted in, didn't he, Williams? They waltzed into the box. They shoot wide from the rebound, but we're exposed. It's dodgy. We don't do siege defending, so we need to get the ball and overwhelm and attack, but we can't because I don't think our players want to play like that, and the manager can't make them. Neil McCann knows something about John McGlynn. Watching, I wasn't at the game, by the way. In case you get, this is all for Sky. I'm watching on Sky. But Neil McCann, he knows something about John McGlynn wanting to use the flanks, wanting to expose our kind of high line, then the fullback areas, our fullback areas, and they are doing that. But they're also winning on the second balls. I don't know if it's like a standard blizzard you get or blitzkrieg even from a home side any game that maybe it's going to blow itself out. But I don't know, 24 minutes, Deja gives it to Raskin. Nico Raskin's kind of facing his own goals. It's one of the kind of short, hard passes. And I think Nico's traumatised by Falkirk's kind of early energy, and he just falls over the ball. And it's another save from Jack Butland as this Falkirk grabbed the ball off him. Another corner for Falkirk. I think it's their fifth already. It's abysmal. I can see a managerial sacking this week. Guardiola. Pep Guardiola apparently didn't want to stay on at Man City. He wanted to retire at the end of last season, but because they lost the league to Liverpool, or so badly to Liverpool, he felt he couldn't really do it. But duty bound, doesn't really want to be there. Heart's not in it, perhaps. What if a change is as good as the rest? Maybe. This is everything we crave from an SPFL opponent in this game today. That first half hour. This is the opposite of a low block. Falkirk are coming at us. Is this no playing into our hands then? We don't have to entice them towards the ball, Falkirk. We don't have to entice them towards our goal, so we can, quick bit of footwork out and we can break their lines like we were doing first league game of the season at Fir Park. They own the ball, Falkirk, and they're living in our half, but no, we're collapsing. It's not working. Russell Martin isn't even being honest to himself. That's always the sign for me. 33 minutes, we were gifted the ball outside Falkirk's box, but Moore, Gassama and MIOVSKI can't fashion anything other than a kind of clash of knees with Scott Bain, the goalkeeper, and during that stop and play for Gassama to get treatment, you can hear Martin, get to fuck. Martin, it's sotto voce. We don't have much of a support there in the wind, they'll be carrying it away, but you can hear it nevertheless. And Falkirk give it away again, direct. Conor Barron hunts his man at the edge of the D, but MIOVSKI can't get the shot away when he's played in. Falkirk mark it down well. It's a lull. It is a lull for Falkirk. We're settling into the game, but it's another kind of powder puffing and boring performance. Even then, 41 minutes we score. As the clock turns from 40 to 41 minutes of the game, we score. Davy Weir is in the outside broadcast studio, and he's on the artwork decorating the inside of the screens in the home end stand. But we all dreamt of 11 Davy Weirs at Rangers, and I now dream of 11 Derek Corneliuses, or Derek Cornelii, I don't know what we got. We're horseshoeing it about the back, and then he feels he's going to go away for the guy who's trying to shut him down, the Falkirk guy who's trying to shut him down, Derek. So he goes, he bombs up the wing, and he plays it to an overlapping Rothwell, who's going to give him a bit of width, and then he plays it back inside to Gassama, who's kind of underlapping to take the pass back, and he switches it instantly, Gassama, to the continuing his run, Derek Cornelius, who's now the kind of inside left channel. He runs into the box with the ball. Cornelius is just inside the left corner. And what a ball he plays to the back, but just inside the kind of left corner of the box, and what a ball he plays to the back post, over at the faraway post, and in comes the Bojan MIOVSKI, the North Macedonian Gerd Muller. He's on the spot, totally on the spot. He's a quiet half, but he gets in there to calmly walk it in his way to taking some sickening hand gestures. He walks it into the back of the net, basically, Bojan MIOVSKI, and he kind of continues his run, the run that took him to the ball to score the goal, carries it on, one of those kind of casual celebrations towards some sickening hand gestures from several 12-year-old home fans, actual Bairns, who, fair play, they never think for a second to part with their missile-shaped pies and bovril, but as they walk along the ground level access, the kind of hard-standing access, a bit like they go at Hamilton Accies as well. It used to be Hamilton Accies, New Douglas Park. It's now Clyde that play there only. To and from the kind of stand in the refreshment stall, you got to go down to pitch level. One of these Falkirk fans being so abusive is framed in a kind of double single-digit pose. It's brilliant. It's just double single-digit pose. Given two fingers, but not the Vickies. It's a double single-digit disrespect right behind the kind of white-shirted, tangle, idle-mustachioed scorer of the goal, and right in front of the stair risers that are emblazoned proudly with the names of loyal Falkirk fans, young, old, and no longer with us. Grandpa Allen, 60. Come on, you Bairns. That's just right behind the Alan 60, come on, you but Grandpa Alan would be proud. Absolutely fantastic. Raskin runs across Derek's cross, and that probably helped distract the goalkeeper as well. But I fear for our fans in the face of such viciousness, especially in our reduced numbers. But I soon hear them sending me the kind of modern day version of the three rings on the landline. Martin, get the fuck, Martin, get. That's straight after we scored. I get the second week in a row, straight after we scored the goal. The Rangers fans are telling the manager that's not good enough, and it hasn't been. It's just like the only thing we've done in the entire half. It's just been awful, and they're singing Martin, get the fuck. So I know they're okay. I know they're absolutely fine. No subs at half time, and I hope they're going to explode into the second half. Really terrible start in the first half, but sometimes when he gets them in at half time, they can. But I think actually taking the lead is the worst thing. Sometimes we get them in at half time and we give them a reminder of what they're supposed to be doing. We're giving them too much information, But we don't come in the second half, kind of confident, buoyed, more relaxed. But it's an improvement in the kind of barrage we were under for half an hour from kick-off in the first half. Conor Barron taking a booking for taking out an opponent in the halfway line after about 50 minutes, as well as Mikey Moore being continually snuffed out every time he gets the ball. That kind of sums it up how it's going. We're not getting forward, but they're no Falkirk aren't getting in behind us. Gassama feels like he's fouled in the box. Definitely takes a dive, but he's trying to show that he's been fouled. That young fella, Judy Gassama, is just sensational. He just gives it absolutely everything, and he's not supported at all. And I don't know if that's what it is with Mikey Moore as well. Every time he gets the ball, he seems to be getting snuffed out, and we're not putting the ball in front of the players anymore. We're not. Every time our attacking players are getting the ball, they look up and there's Falkirk defenders right in front of them. I mean, there should be Falkirk, and the opposition should be, and it's not just Falkirk, whoever else we're playing these days. Last few weeks, since we come back from the end of the transfer window and Nico Raskin wasn't sold, it just seems to be something has changed. And I don't know if it's an attempt at kind of, remember the Monday Night Football interview with Jamie Carragher, where Russell Martin was saying his time at Southampton in the Premier League, we should have done more of the dark arts. We should have been a bit more practical. I shouldn't have been so kind of ideological, perhaps. That's why we were getting thrashed all the time, because I just wanted to keep it going with the style. We'd get there eventually, but maybe we should have, along the way, we should have been, diving, taking fouls, getting the black arts. That maybe it's an attempt to be a bit more practical as well. We kind of get opened up at the back, so let's not just be getting the ball forward and bombing on after it into space all the time. Look a bit more kind of like we're building up play through, and it's not working. It's just he's going against. It's when they start going against their own kind of beliefs, the managers. It's time to. 57 minutes. There's two quick Falkirk corners cleared as Motherwell take the lead at Parkhead. The scores are coming in from the other games, and which weirdly, Motherwell going 2-1 up at Celtic Park kind of puts us under more pressure, really. That shouldn't be how you're feeling these days. You think if we're going to chuck this, it's going to be even more. Did Jose really want to go to Benfica? Did he really want to go back to Benfica? I suppose he's Portuguese, he's getting to that age, he wants to be closer to home. I don't know, maybe if we'd get in there and made a bid, maybe, you never know. Just sound him out anyway. On the hour mark, couple of substitutions. Moore and MIOVSKI go off, and Ant-Man and Chermiti come on. The football's awful, and that suits Falkirk, who are, again, winning more corners than us. Henderson, the big Hibs supporting centre half, 63rd minute, he should have scored. He was on. We can't defend corners. He's up there. He's winning the ball clearly. He's obviously the guy to mark. He's scored recently. I watched him scoring against Hibs from the very same situation at the very same end. We're hardly able to stop it. I suppose maybe I'm being too harsh. We're getting under him, getting on top of him, so he kind of got the purchase in the ball, but at the same time, Conor Barron is kind of holding a shirt as well in a way that was reminiscent of how we won a penalty at Livingston last week, so we were lucky to get away with that. 65 minutes, Derek Cornelius is getting a hard time from the Falkirk kind of pacemeister. Aguiman, the number 11, he pitched it to the back post, and McIver for Falkirk wins a header at that back post out jumping Tav. It goes just past the post. Falkirk warm up Ross Graham to replace McIver. Just the very kind of striker who will lap up all Falkirk's crosses, been getting crosses into our box relentlessly. We're blocking nothing. It's like when we played Panathinaikos at Ibrox, and we played Panathinaikos, and just so many teams have played this season with just so many shots on goal and they can't convert. You're thinking they must be raging that they're finishing. But he's going to lap up. Ross Graham's just the very kind of guy who's going to lap up all the Falkirk crosses into the box and our inability to defend them. We've had no shots on goal all half. This is 65 minutes, and we haven't kept an away clean sheet in 2025. This is only going to go one way, and that's what it is. When you watch all the time, you know it's only going to go one way. You can see the same failings all the time, and you know that they're bad for it. It's not just because we don't have the right players, or it's because it's not working. That's when you know it's time for the manager to go. 71 minutes. Ant-Man blazes into the box. Plenty of space, plenty of time, and he tries to roll his studs over the ball or something like that, and the chance is gone yet again. You don't even get excited now when we get towards the goal. 73rd minute. I mean, we can't shoot on goal, but Falkirk can. Ian Crocker only has to mention that Scott Arfield is warming up, and Diamandi gets rolled as a shy comes across him in the midfield. No, it's not a shy. It's actually Tav tackling wide, a 50-50 wide on the right-hand side, only just inside our half. And the ball's kind of coming inwards. But it rolls across, and I'm thinking, what is it? Why am I thinking it's a shy? And it's because it's reminded me eventually of the goal we scored against Scott Arfield's Falkirk back in the 2009 Scottish Cup final. The substitute Cartwright just on, he does a cartwheel or whatever, spinning Diamandi to make sure that they win that 50-50 as well, Falkirk, and that's him in a bit of space, and he hits the thing like Nacho Novo that day back in 2009. He hits it for distance, 30 yards. It takes a glance off John Suter's thigh, and it curls right into the top corner. Butland hardly even moves. 23 straight away games without a clean sheet. That's a 128-year-old record. That's it, gone. The rain comes on. 79 minutes, Gassama ignores the ball at his feet to square up to Brian Graham, the way John Lundstrom ignored the ball at his feet to go on a tiz with his teammates for a false pass or a bobbly pitch, taking the ball away from his feet, and that kind of loss at McDermott Park in 2022, almost exactly 3 years ago, which did for Gio, really, before the St Mirren draw, before the international break, which officially did for Gio. It's all getting it's just, this is a game. This is the game. This is the moment. You can see it all happen. We've seen it all before. There is a feeling, there's an undeniable tone, taste, and aura to a managerial sacking game. 80 to 82 minutes. We've got a few corners, a lot of wild crosses, but do we actually get a shot on and go? I can't even remember. I've given up at that point in time. 83 minutes, Bajrami and Asgard come on for Raskin and Barron. There's a head shake from Raskin. He goes off, but no handshake with Russell Martin. Just like no congratulatory tweet about his Belgium call-up, you know what I mean? But to be fair, Russell Martin he had other things to be doing at that point in time today. 85 minutes, Diamandi is injured, and we've got all our subs on, and he's one of them. Neil Warnock, fuck it. We know he's going to do it. We know he wants to do it, Neil. It's just, Ant-Man keeps kind of threatening bluntly. We've got more attackers and rain on the pitch, making it a bit slicker, but we're still flattering to deceive. Falkirk are ready to break. We're ready to foul them. Jack Butland makes another kind of point-blank, low reaction save. He's the best player of the season so far, I would say, Jack Butland. And that tells you all you need to know. This is not Livingston last Sunday. Falkirk are far more dangerous, and they have been all game. Falkirk have only led once in the league this season versus 10-man Aberdeen. Dio is basically making us a man down with his injury and his attitudes. So, never know. Maybe this is the next time they're going to take the lead. 6 minutes of injury time. I can't say I'm as enthusiastic as I should be when that's flying out. Oh, good, we can do it, Rangers. 92nd minute, Gassama goes down the left. He's trying to do it all himself again, young man. He's absolutely phenomenal, Gassama. It's an embarrassment the way we failed to support him. He's a vicious ball across goal, which Falkirk almost turned in, because we certainly don't have any takers in the box, and from the corner we put it like 5 yards wide. It's just fucking woeful. Celtic are winning at Parkhead, and they get an injury time winner at Parkhead. The news keeps coming in, and they were trailing. So just to ensure Russell Martin is gone, these are the things that happen when a manager is having his last game in charge of the club. Everything just goes against you. All the chickens come home to roost. But I think even if Celtic had won, like, they'd been 3-0 up today, and Motherwell would pulled a couple of goals back late on, it'd have been, it has to be, oh, actually, this is a scenario, it gives you a taste of the scenario where you should be excited. Oh, God, we gained points on them last week. Celtic are collapsing. If we go here and finish this game, but what you're seeing on the pitch is giving you no hope whatsoever. What you're seeing in front of you from your team, you're thinking, that's a different world to us. The whole thing about catching Celtic, and that's a memory, or it's something so far in the future that we don't need to be concerned with that right now. We're trying to get ourselves out the bottom six, and we're struggling. 94th minute, Sam Allardyce, what a big Sam. He was looking quite fit, wasn't he? And when he was chatting away to Sir Alex Ferguson in the director's box at Old Trafford quite recently. Diamandi should have been sent off the 94th minute. The ref shot it. I mean, he went for his red card. He went for the yellow card, and he thought, "Oh Christ, no!" I mean, it get mentioned on commentary. Neil McCann, but it was spot on. He stopped a Falkirk player piling forward and exposing us. It was a yellow card tackle, so it doesn't all go against us. Jurgen Klopp, he must be embarrassed working for Red Bull. He needs to get his charity job. He wants to be the kind of guy that does a lot of work for charity. We are a charity case just now. Come on, Jurgen. 96th minute. Jack Buckland is going up into the opposition box again. Russell Martin will not be the Rangers manager. He's going to be sacked not because of the bad results, but because there is absolutely no sign of what he's trying to do. And frankly, with Tav and Raskin all over the park doing whatever they want, I don't think he's been able to take proper command of the dressing room. That in itself is a failing. You know, he lost it, I think, when Raskin stayed. The style he wanted is absolutely correct. The motivation of implementing that style was spot on and needed. But it's his inability to implement that style and then eventually deserting that style that has killed him. That's killed his time as Rangers manager. That's Rangers head coach, and it's all very sad. And the bus get blocked in at the as if to almost like the Union Bears can do better defending than our defence. They wouldn't let the bus go. And we only had about 400 fans there, I think. Was it even that? I don't know what size of allocation we get at Falkirk. We used to get that whole stand. You know, but like everybody else, they've turned on us. Suddenly they've got their own fans wanting to fill their stadium again. We supported you bastards for every club in Scotland. We bloody financed you for decades, and then the minute we get into financial trouble, fuck them. You know? So the bus gets kind of blocked in, and I may mock it as performative, but I went through this last week. I remember my uncle's at Easter Road, the day of the Bradford City fire, actually, it was the last day of the season, I think 85, 86, was that? 84, 85? The day of the Bradford City fire. And it's only that probably prevented there being more coverage of basically a riot. Rangers and Hibs fans at Easter Road ended up on the park, total rammies. That day it was the start of the kind of casual thing where it was just the bonnet wearing phase, and it was roasting. But the Rangers casual, the ICF, and the Hibs casuals, they all had their green bonnets or their blue bonnets on. And I was like 15, 16, very, very well behaved at that point in time. I was at the game with my uncle's mates. My uncle wasn't at the game, but I was there with his pals, guys in their kind of 30s and 40s, and they're watching the ICF and that jumping up. It was a really boring game, total end of season stuff. In fact, we get beat 1-0, and Craig Patterson was getting slagged rotten for having signed for Rangers from Hibs. But I remember my uncle's like, oh God, the ICF, you know, look at the state of these, look at the state up there, up at the fence, and the divide. It's when you still had, it was just terracing, the old East Terracing at Easter Road. I'd never been on the East Terracing when it was full size, when it went up. Like I've seen pictures of it, it's absolutely massive, but they'd done that thing, they'd halved it in size. The stand that they've got now, the East Stand, that huge rake, that's the size of the old East Terracing from what I've seen, but it was kind of half the height of that, and it was like a jungle without a roof at that point in time. Or did they have the roof on it? Anyway, it doesn't matter, like, who cares? It's just been a long day, it's been a long season, it's only the start of October. They're taunting each other back and forth. My uncle's mates got like stay there, and that's embarrassing. It's embarrassing for Rangers to see young boys behaving like that. And then there's a lot of shaking of there's the wee no man's land bit, and there's a fence keeping in the Hibs supporters and a fence keeping in the Rangers supporters, and they're both shaking these kind of gates at the top of them, and the gates collapsed. So the two of them were like, let's go. They could actually get across them, and for some reason the Polish were, I don't know, they weren't bothering their arse, or they weren't close enough. They want to sit out. So the two sets of the casuals head for each other, and then a few of the Rangers ones shat it and come back the way into the. And my uncle's mates have been going, look at that, they're actually going to start fighting each other now. It's just like, you're fucking running away. And they've been supporting Rangers. They were young men in the late 60s, kind of up into the late 70s. You know, when Rangers had a bit of a reputation, and suddenly 2 or 3 of them were just like, fuck that. Just ran up and grabbed a few of the young ICF guys and just turned them around and hit them, and they waded in themselves. And then people were on the pitch and all that, and it was just, it was absolute carnage. But it's that thing of there is a limit, as I say. I was talking last week at this bit like that. I've got no time for golf at the minute. the minute I think the USA are going to win the Ryder Cup, it's like, right, let's get behind the European golf boys here. Come on. And it's the same thing. I mean, it's easy for me to say, oh, it looks kind of performative. The Union Bears blocking in the team bus today, no letting the team go, and they're standing in front of the crash barriers that are obligatory. Now you've got to have your shark moment. I saw the protest outside Ibrox before the Hibs game a few weeks ago. Folk actually had inflatable sharks with them, so there's an admission of what we were doing, of what it might look like to the outside world. But it's easy for me to slag it, but I do want to see Rangers doing well, and if there's people on the ground getting that point across, then you have to. I don't want to go any further than that. I think it's done. I think it's going to be over. Russell Martin said, by the time you see this pod, it may already be all over the news, all over the news channels. I don't know who we get in to replace him. The one thing is, at least, I can't see he's getting a temporary manager in October, to see us to the end of the season. I think the only way Russell Martin could be staying if there was some sort of announcement that James Tavernier had been sacked, and maybe even Nico Raskin had been, his contract terminated so he could go elsewhere, which would immediately send everybody mental as well, because we're very into our transfer policy just now. You're throwing away 20, 30 million by getting rid of Nico Raskin. There would need to be something monumental that's happening in the club other than Russell Martin leaving to explain or seriously hint at what had been holding Russell Martin back. There was a problem greater than him that had been holding things back. There's all sorts of changes going on in the board, still ongoing. That's a problem that Russell Martin deserves sympathy for. That won't be making his life any easier, but then maybe at the same time, that means there's more options, there's more people doing more things for him. It's all we're just a brand new takeover, and I think their thinking has been fine. Marath and Kavanagh, maybe that's what they call themselves when they go out together. Marathana, Maragana. They're no mugs. Parag Marathi, at Leeds United, Elland Road, the Leeds fans are saying all his initial appointments and sackings just seemed wrong. The appointments were underwhelming, and then 6 months to a year later, everybody's loving it and seeing the plan. So I think this one has got to the point where it's just not working at all. Russell Martin will be leaving, but I think the idea, I think the intent was absolutely spot on. We need that kind of manager preaching that kind of football, but he's just not been able to make it happen. And it's the fact that there's no. I wasn't always bothered about results at Rangers. It's always rubbish watching us not winning, watching us being poor on the pitch. But it was the fact that it'd gone beyond. We're merely going a bit backwards, so we could eventually go forward. There was no sign whatsoever of any cohesive plan, any coherent plan. It wasn't like, oh, we're nearly there, or I can see what he's trying to do. It's just hopeless with no sign of it getting any better. It's got worse at a point where we should be starting to pick things up. We've not managed to win 2 successive games so far, and even the thought I've been putting this point forward the other night that perhaps Russell Martin, they expected the kind of story arc we were looking for was things will get really bad. That's all been done. But it needs to be kind of into October, into November. You start getting signs that things are getting better. And I thought, well, we're not football experts. If we were football experts, we would be, working in football. But the eye test is sometimes overblown. It's a way of fans just hyping up their own opinion. But results is one thing you can definitely rely on. And I thought, okay, we're crap in the Europa League now, but if you see us winning at Falkirk, even if it's by a single goal on Sunday, we can then say that's 2 successive league games that have been won. Put it together with the Hibs game in the League Cup, that's 3 successive domestic games against top flight opposition that have been won. You've got a wee result, a wee kind of a bit of form that is creeping up on you. It's almost under camouflage, and that's the way it should happen. When it's a slow improvement that goes at the same pace as the tectonic change that's required at a club, but it's not happening. They're just slipping backwards. And I can just see too many things. And most of all, I see it in the manager's eyes. We're going to have to get another full-time coach, and he's got players that he didn't pick. This is the same situation we've found ourselves in each season of the last 5 seasons. So at least they've got there quickly, the current board, and they can get about. I know there's going to be pressure on Kevin Thelwell, and we'll all be looking at Patrick Stewart again and blah, blah, blah. And we saw Patrick Stewart I think he was just kind of shaking his head when he was talking to whoever he was talking to when Russell Martin came up and gave him a quick handshake on the way down the tunnel. Patrick Stewart's talking to somebody at the edge of the tunnel, but it just looked like as Russell Martin shakes his hand and walks in the tunnel, and he did go straight to the tunnel at the end of the game, Russell Martin. It was as if Patrick Stewart was saying, "Oh Christ, that was just garbage. He's MIOVSKI, he's away." Like kind of behind Russell Martin's back, but he wouldn't be doing that. I don't know, maybe he was, but it's going to be these guys, the directors, and that are going to come under pressure. But I don't have a great problem with the way they've gone about this so far. It is a failure. There's no two ways about that. So they've got to take the hit for that. They've got to take the criticism. But I'm not wanting to start, hunting any more people at the club than is absolutely necessary. And I think losing Russell Martin and his coaching team will placate most of the fans just now. You've got an international break in which to do it, so it can be a bit more respectable, less desperate. We might not need to get in a temporary manager for anything other than taking training, and there's very few players will be left, first team players will be left during the international break because they're all away playing for their country, to be taking training. But that's got to be him gone, and I don't know who we get in at all. Is that going to change their thinking about what kind of manager is needed? What have the board learned about what's required at Rangers? Because they are learning as well. What the owners learned, or was it just a case of Russell Martin just missed it? He just didn't get it. It just got away from him. And they'll go for a guy with the same kind of ethos, the same kind of belief in possession football, the same kind of ability to build up a lot of young players. And because I know a lot of people out there are starting to suspect that the owners, there's a lot of people are suspecting all sorts about the owners. It's a Catholic conspiracy. The 49ers are owned by a staunchly Catholic family, or faithfully Catholic family. I don't know what you are, if you're heavy duty Catholic or whatever, but I'm probably a lot happier than I am right now anyway. But that's a conspiracy. They're here to undermine the club and all that. I doubt that's the case. The other one that's got maybe a bit more legs to it is that they just want to turn us into a team that can sell players. They just want to develop players to sell them. They're not here to succeed. The best way to sell players, the best way to shop window your players is to have them in a winning team, have them playing good football in front of adoring fans and doing great things. That's how you up their value quicker. They're here to win stuff. They're here to make money. The new owners, there's no two ways about that, but that's the good thing about having really cynical owners when it comes to football. They know that the best way to make hundreds of money on their investment is to have that team winning, and they will definitely try and do that. The reason they hung on to Russell Martin so long was to make sure that, to give him every chance, because I think they know that we need to build the squad from the bottom up and revolutionise the way we're playing football. And I don't know what's going to happen. I think things are going to come out perhaps a bit Tav, perhaps a bit Raskin. The moment Russell Martin fell out with Nico Raskin, that's when it all seemed to go steadily wrong, and there was little belief. After the belief was kind of ebbing away that Russell Martin had control of the team after that, and I just wanted to get to the point where we knew that for certain. Looking at them today, we did. So I don't know. I don't know, folks. I should probably end this pod now anyway, because obviously there's going to be some announcement the next couple of days, and you've heard enough from me, and it'd be lovely just to. We'll have to do the big stuff about the new manager. We'll have to do the big stuff about, his first game in charge and blah blah blah. But after that, maybe we'll just get to the point where I can do a nice ordinary podcast. And by the way, can I just say, would you stop saying, that's a great, the thing about the axe? I talked about losing my axe the other day when I was out trying to chop the wee tree down in the wee bit of garden I've got out the back there, because it's an old tree and it's just quite a wee tree. So I tried to chop. I had an axe with B&Q and it slipped out my hand and I ended up losing it, and the foliage, all the weeds and all that I've piled up down that bit of the garden. That's pure poetry. You're doing one of your metaphors there, aren't you? You're trying to say that, it's Rangers don't have a cutting edge, and you predicted that Russell Martin was for the chop. No, that's not what I'm doing there. I genuinely did have a wee axe, and do you know what I'm going to do? Actually, not what I'm going to do, because remember we've got a couple of free days now. Rangers only playing for best part of a fortnight. We've got a couple of free days. I'm going to get down there. I'm going to dig up the rest of the weeds and all that, and I will find that way, and I'll come and I'll show you the axe that I got for B&Q. Yeah, so just to prove that there's, just to prove the fact that not everything I say has got a double meaning, I'll come on here and I'll show you my wee chopper that I just pulled out of a bush. Top man, cheers.